Welcome to the K-Popcast. In this short episode of K-Pop Hot Issue, we'll be discussing Dispatch's uncovering of Jennie and Kai's relationship. Did Dispatch reporting cross a line? Did SM and YG respond appropriately? And what will YG do next? Oh, but most importantly, what is their couple name? I'm your host, DJ Peterlo, and on this episode, I welcome Ariana and Stephanie to the chat. But before we dive into our thoughts, let's quickly recap what happened and what our listeners had to say. So, Ariana, with that, let's take it away. Have you take it away? Tell us what happened here.
Well, announced as part of Dispatch's, I guess, annual Juicy New Year's stories, they publicated unveiled photos of Jennie and Kai meeting on separate occasions, like several occasions.
Yeah. And for those of you like who aren't familiar with Dispatch already, they're like the TMZ, like super gossip, like tabloid rag news of Korea.
Though not in people's faces. Like they never get in people's faces. They like creepily take pictures from cars
they hide
far
in the
away.
bushes.
Yeah. Instead of going and attacking people and talking to them, they just are super creeps and stalkers. But yeah, following that scoop, we got YG responded with they did not know the dating rumors. And they were currently looking into the matter, which is very YG. And then SM actually confirmed the relationship pretty much just hours later and stated, Kai and Jennie have become fond of each other, which is also so SM.
No surprises there.
No.
So in the midst of both congratulations and worries from the netizens, some past Instagram posts of the idols gained renewed netizen attention. For example, Jennie and Kai both had Instagram posts at the Eiffel Tower at the same day and time. Jennie also posted on Instagram that she had a romantic dinner in Paris. With whom? We know that Jennie was at the Chanel show and Kai was at the Gucci show on the same day.
And then since the news, K-netizens have created petitions online and basically urging for the closure of Dispatch. The petitions are going to the Blue House, which is obviously a big deal. In the last report I found, the largest petition had received at least 20,000 signatures in a matter of like 2 or 3 days. So
yeah. So clearly, you know, people are feeling like Dispatch kind of pushed too far. Like they're like, whoa, please respect their privacy. I sorry, I know we're kind of jumping out of order here, but I also want to just quick reminder for our listeners, like this is our unedited show, so if you're wondering like, hey, why do they sound sort of like, you know, janky from their usual episodes, because this is our hot issue series, so we don't do any editing on these, so we just, you know, record our thoughts and get them out real quickly so we can be time sensitive and get our comments out.
Hot out the oven.
Yeah, hot issue. So let's that's what happened. Thank you, Ariana and Stephanie. Let's turn our attention to what people online have already been saying. So I want to call out one Twitter comment from K-pop. Oh gosh, K-drama, K-pop Talk Fest.
K-pop Talk Fest. Say that 10 times fast.
Yeah. So this Twitter user wrote, they are in a crazy business and it's a blessing they have a significant other in the same industry who can understand their struggles. I'm happy for them. Happy face emoticon.
Yeah. And as usual, we always have our friend Black Jesus.
Jesus 7. Kim Dim last.
She or he knows exactly what I love. She or he said, I would like to think about this case in comparison to Hyuna and E'Dawn. How the situation is unfairly treated by a company with less to be egotistical about, yet who chooses to treat their artists like strangers and criminals and oust them. I know that's an option. She said, I know that's an opinion. But the treatment of this couple by K-fans and Asian I-fans attacking the company in groups until Cube changes its stance and decides to cancel both contracts without even telling the artist is unacceptable in any sense, much less with this new example of how to properly handle it. Which, yeah, I think that's a big discussion that came around is who else had an experience with dating recently and how were they treated?
Yeah, I think it's possible that that SM and YG kind of learned from the Cube Entertainment experience and decided to take their time a little bit. Let's confirm and then see how the fans react, and then we move with them. That's what I think.
But
and also
they're going to try and capitalize on the situation as usual.
Make money.
Yeah, but sorry, I'll jump in, and I'll hand it over to you, Ariana. I want to say, like, Stephanie, yes, they took their time, but it was amazingly fast, at least from a public relations point of view. Like, YG responded really quickly. Like, unlike the Lazy Jenny, they actually responded real fast, saying that they don't yet know, and they're looking into it.
These labels are nimble. They learn fast.
You know? Yeah. So,
I am sure they have like a war room about like dating scandals, and they just are at the ready for whenever something like this drops, especially now after Hyuna Idon.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, maybe they were watching for, because we know this is the annual thing from Dispatch, so maybe they're already specifically monitoring for it. But I want to applaud that move by YG, at least saying, we don't know about this, we're looking into it. That alone is like a very good statement, like at least to acknowledge, like, placate, our concerns. And then SM to jump in so quickly right after that and say, yep, it's for real, they're happy.
Well, that begs the question, are they possibly in cahoots? Did Dispatch, reach out to them? That is
a lot of people believe that Dispatch does let them know ahead of time, that this is a common thing that Dispatch tells them, we're going to release this information. They might give them like hours notice, but they at least tell them so they can at least
prep. To prepare a statement.
It at least allows them to prep a statement, which is helpful. And I think, the difference is here, they were outed by, well, there's a lot of differences here, but they were definitely outed by a magazine, which is different from Hyuna and Idon, where basically she was being accused of sexually harassing a younger member of her band. And she was like, guys, we're dating. We've been dating for 2 years. Like, there's a difference here on like what's actually happening in the situation.
Yeah.
But it is a different in the reactions of the companies. One company, and I don't know what's going to happen with Jennie and YG, but he's got his eye on an international fan base, right? He knows, after seeing what happened with Hyuna and Idon, we do not like it when you kick out our artists for dating. We don't like that. We get upset about that. The Korean fans might not, but we do. So it might not benefit him to punish her publicly. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't make any sense if he has his eye on specifically on the West, so maybe that's part of the decision making here too.
Right. I kind of want to say maybe you're giving Papa YG a little too much credit, but maybe not.
Definitely.
Like I think it's fairly clear cut. I think everyone in the quote unquote like K-pop industry can say that among international fans, we're all for using a term from AMA K-pop, # Let Idols Bang. We're all for that,
Whoa.
Yeah.
But for Korean fans, it's a different story, as we can see from this petition, right? So,
yeah. I guess the petition's actually protecting them in a way, which was surprising.
That's true.
But it doesn't. It's not like everybody over there is happy about this either. But I will say that, like, these are two very beautiful people. And I am okay to see I'm okay to see like their relationship. I'm okay to not see their relationship. Oh my God, that's all I keep thinking about. The most beautiful babies. Like that's kind of where I think we lie over here on the West. One is that like we don't own these people. We don't really care what they decide to do with their lives. They're all beautiful and famous. Of course they're going to date each other. There's a little bit of separation there. And I get excited when they date each other because I'm like, if Hyuna and Idon are actually engaged right now, I can't even tell you like that, like how badly I want to see that wedding. It's the same thing here. Like if they decide to stay together, I just want to see the wedding. I want to see the babies. I want them on, TV
that was
later.
The thing with like, this is, PR pro perspective here. Like when Cube just first came out with that all those statements around Hyuna and Idon dating, it seemed like they're doing everything in their power to mitigate news or conversation around that, which to me was like, why? Like, you've been handed a golden opportunity, like capitalize on it, you know?
Exactly. And they're both within your label, so you get all the money.
Yes. Yeah, right, totally. Yeah. And going back to what you were saying earlier, like K-idols dating each other, like, how could they not? You're seeing like
who else do you hang out with?
Yes, right. And these are like perfectly like crafted and sculpted like titans and like deities among men, right? Like, these are people who are so beautiful for both the men
That's
and
why they're
women.
called idols.
Yeah.
Like, they're literally called idols
true.
because we're supposed to worship them for being perfect. Like, that's what they are. The problem is that, at least, I mean, if we look at like American famous people, like I'm thinking about like when I was obsessed with, Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys, when he started dating a girl. Yeah. When he started dating a girl, I got upset. And then I was like, whatever, I'm still going to marry him down the line. Now I'm really glad I didn't. But you know what I mean? Like, there's a little bit of a less control of that relationship. It's a different thing. And it literally is idols to worship and be like, to be completely obsessed with,
untouchable, perfect.
Yeah. But one thing I think we're beginning to see, and I know Tiffany pointed this out in one of her separate interviews. So Tiffany, longtime member of Girls' Generation, she said, like, from what she's seen of the industry, it first started that we have to be, immaculate, perfect, can do no wrong people. And then over time, I think maybe it's within the last couple of years, social media accounts for each individual artist are starting to become more public, and people are starting to recognize the faults of their idols and recognizing that those very faults are what make them special and different, right? And I think we've seen that especially with Amber of FX. Like we're starting to recognize that these are multifaceted people, and we can celebrate all those unique quirks that they have. Sunmi is a perfect example of that as well.
Yeah, but God forbid they date anybody and take away our fantasy of dating them. And it's not, and I mean by us, it's not us. Like, it's Korean fans. And I think part of it is I've seen comments from people with Hyuna and E'Dawn, it was, but if I was on the street, I had the chance of meeting him and then he would fall in love with me and you know what I mean?
Someone like, I would see that?
Yeah, I literally saw a comment that somebody said, one of the Korean fans, I was reading, but that's the thing, when you're 13 and you are it's such a small country and so many of them are already in Seoul, you know what I mean? There's this idea, if I go to Seoul, I'm going to meet them. And when you're 13, I mean, I thought I was going to marry Nick Carter when I was 13. I thought I was going to marry Taylor Hanson. They were both vying for my attention and my idea.
Oh, right.
But you know what I mean? Like, when you're 13, there is a difference between like reality and your hope for reality, right?
Let's not leave the Ajushi fans out of this.
Yeah, no, but
perhaps the fans that never grew up.
Yeah, and if I go to Korea in September and Jin happens to walk up to me, am I going to say no? Of course not. But I don't expect it's going to happen. It's just hopeful.
Okay.
But the thing is that I think the one thing I'll say about this situation versus Hyuna and E'Dawn is very specific with the boys. I don't think people are not upset about Jennie because they're still for some reason considering her a rookie because they've only been out for 3 years. But Kai's older, right? He's not a rookie anymore. He's been out for a long time. He's been around the block.
Seasons.
The fans
he's dated an idol before.
Yeah. The fans have gotten older, so they're used to this. Yeah.
Famous.
That's the thing, is the fans have gotten older, right? And so they are less upset about Kai dating and more supportive of Kai dating. The XOLs are the ones who are sending those petitions.
Depends on your fan base.
Yeah.
Like if you've got the young, adolescent, zealous girl who doesn't know any other reality, then it's a problem. But if they're old enough, it sounds
I would push back on that. I think it's all ages that are acting that way.
Really?
The older fans as well, burning their albums. And
well, and I think it's also, again, it's like the discussion of the genders, right? The genders are a huge part of it too. Like, in this situation, it's a lot of the male fans are upset about Jennie. I saw that one guy had destroyed his CD and light stick, and like I don't know if they were female or male, but a lot of people
forget the patriarchy says that the women are supposed to stay completely innocent and pure.
Yeah.
And so it's a huge like scarlet letter on her if she's dating someone. Whereas not going to come down as hard on the guys just for that reason.
Yeah. Well, and with the Hyuna and Edon thing, the issue was, quote unquote, with Edon being tainted by this lustful woman, and it was still somehow about Hyuna being the bad person, and she ruined his career. And in this situation, the argument that I saw a lot of K fans say is Jennie's selfish and ruining the careers of her bandmates.
Oh, totally.
Because they're not supposed to date, and how dare she?
Here we have the original sin play out once again.
Won't be the last.
Tempting, the femme fatale. Like, get out of here. 2019.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you can start to. I mean, with the backlash of those hyper zealous fans, sasaengs, right? Like they are throwing a lot of money, right, at these labels, at these idols. I guess you start to sympathize then with the labels themselves when they try to mitigate these scandals, quote unquote scandals, so that they don't lose that commercial interest. But at the same time, like,
sympathize. Who, me? I never do.
Okay, good. Well, I at the same time, like, I want us to get to a point as a society where we can acknowledge this is a real thing and hopefully still monetarily support our idols. And the production companies supporting them. So I'm hoping that the culture gets there. Hey, before we run out of time, can we talk about Dispatch? Does that sound good to you both?
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
All right. So did they cross the line? Like, that's what I really want to know.
You know what? Here's the deal. It's like a slippery slope thing, because you could do the whole like, well, technically, like, they're not doing the TMZ thing, which is so invasive, right? They're staying back.
I don't know. This is pretty invasive.
This one seemed, you know what I mean? But like, if the part that we're not understanding is, did they, tell the companies ahead? I do think that this is less invasive in getting in your face, but it is just one step above that. Like, it's a slippery slope. I
think where is the line?
The idols and the labels, this is part of the territory, and that especially if they're going to date each other, they have to expect that it's going to come out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So a couple things. Like, one, like,
I
for
hate
sure,
paparazzi
idols
in general.
know that this is the career and the lifestyle that they're signing themselves up for, right? Yeah. But at the same time, like, I want to say, like, they're human beings too. Right? Like, we owe our idols like some level of human decency. So that, like, as we've seen with Jonghyun and others in the past, like, they already have immense like mental pressures and issues that they have to deal with, and yet we're adding this yet another thing that, as responsible consumers of this content, it's not too much to ask us to be like, can we please be at least somewhat respectful? You know? And that where that line lands, like, I'm still trying to figure that out in my head.
Yeah, I mean, we've been going through this since Princess Di died by the hands of paparazzi, right? What is the role of paparazzi? Like, I would say, like, Dispatches, I know we're saying it's invasive, but it's significantly more respectful than like trailing someone in their car and them getting into an accident, right? It's significantly better than that. I don't think that they're above going past that. I also wonder, I listened to the podcast you sent us, Peter, about Dispatch. I don't remember who the podcast was, but the guy of... when they were talking about Dispatch and they were talking about like the effects of, when they started in doing this and outing these stars, what it did for the understanding of
you're referring to the Radiolab episode.
Yeah, the Radiolab episode.
And that was so funny.
I thought that was interesting to say, like, yes, like, what they're doing is not great, but it is kind of, it's opening the eyes up of who they are, and making it clear that, like, they're human in a way, because before you couldn't do this stuff. You couldn't see the human side to them, right? You might see what they curate, but you don't see everything.
Yeah.
And in a way, it got people used to idols dating.
Yeah, and they're human sides, right? Again, they're not demigods, they are humans. So,
yeah, and they need love,
right.
That's a good point. I think it's more right. I think that's a good point, that as they keep publishing this stuff regularly, that the audience will become desensitized to it, react less harshly, less negatively, and then down the line, whose hand does that play into? The labels are the ones who will start profiting off of and co-opting and possibly manufacturing these kind, like we see in the States, manufacturing dating
relationships
between. Yeah. Right.
Well, exactly. And that's a big part of what's happening with this relationship. To be honest, I saw a lot of people say this is a publicity stunt. This isn't real. These are two companies that are not failing. Neither of them are failing, but they have, JYP passed them this year. Honestly and truly, these are two bands that are, I would say, struggling to, Blackpink had a huge year, but they're struggling a lot this past year in comparison to years before. EXO got 3 weeks of promotion this year, and that's partially their company's fault. But maybe, there is this part of it, and I'm half in that camp where I'm like, it could be completely fake. I want to believe in the realness because I want those babies to happen, but I can see this being two companies coming together and say, how do we make this better? Let's take two of our most beautiful people and put them together.
Yeah.
Right?
I would love to be in that boardroom meeting, looking at all the photos and matching them on the desk.
And maybe we already had that with We Got Married, that show, right? Maybe that was already the initial attempt in that direction. I want to call out that we're closing up here on time. I want to read a quick tweet by Rodri, who had similar thoughts that you're both talking about right now. So Rodri wrote, "The pessimist in me suspects that eventually K-pop stars dating each other will become an important part of the game. Rather than discouraged, I can see it becoming yet another unreasonable expectation placed on idols by these companies. Arranged relationships."
Ew.
Yeah.
So that's probably a whole nother can of worms that maybe we can explore further. Maybe wrapping it up.
I do want to say real quickly, the thing that I learned the most about this is that sandwich that they pass around in Gaio is disgusting, and I do not want to look at it. That's how they talk to each other. But I just thought that.
So for our listeners, if you're not familiar, Sungri revealed that what show is it? But
Inkigayo.
On the fourth floor, where the cameras are not allowed. That's where they get their sandwiches, and Jennie couldn't resist the smell of those Inkigayo sandwiches, where idols slip their numbers into the sandwiches and use it to exchange with each other. So that was your last word. My last thing, I guess, is let's not beat Jennie up. I know we just did an episode talking about asking whether or not she was lady, but we're not out to get her. But I will say all those lazy Jennie articles make sense because Junghyun was blowing that back out. Okay, so sorry. Okay, Stephanie, your last word.
Okay, all right. My last word is name for the couple. I just heard K-pop junkie call them Kylo Jen, and I love it.
Oh, that's good. Kylo Jen is a great one.
Yeah.
Mine was Jen Kai. That's the only thing I could think of.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. So that concludes this episode of K-Pop Hot Issue on the K-Popcast. Again, we've got our usual polished episodes. This is just the raw, unfiltered, unpolished episodes. If you want us to talk more about this topic, let us know. We're happy to dive in deeper. We can do a more polished take on it. Maybe pull in more professionals from the scene. Let us also know what you thought of this episode. Give us a tweet at the K-Popcast. And don't forget to always rate, review, subscribe, and share these episodes online. So thank you, Ariana and Stephanie, for your time for this hot issue.
Thank you.
Of Jennie and Kai meeting on separate occasions. It was hot and juicy.
I totally just spilled tea all over my keyboard.
Oh no! Tea. Do we want to stop?
Yeah, if you guys don't mind stopping really quick.
Yeah.
Sorry, let me wipe this up. It's dripping. Hang on.
Oh. Good luck. Oh.
We should totally keep that recording and like play it as a blooper somewhere.
Literally, so can we talk about that at the top, that he literally spilled the tea?
Yeah, it's pretty good.